Can you even tell that I'm changing this? In the room, there's really not that much difference. What's up, everybody? Today we got a fun one because we're gonna do two forms of the IRT. Now there's been definitely a bunch of iterations of this amp, and I think all of them are great. There's a grit about these amps that I think that no other amp covers. And I would say I had the IRT Studio before, and that was like the rack mount version, and it had like 15 watts, and it was a solid power amp, but it had preamp tubes in it. Really awesome piece of gear. What we have here today is the kind of new Ironheart loud pedal. Now this thing is 60 watts, so you can just run a speaker cab just off of this thing by itself. And I also have the 120 watt head, the old school version. I do have my Agile 3010. I absolutely love this guitar. I mean, the finish on that is just like beautiful. I mean, come on. Don't think I'll be ever getting rid of this one, but plays like a Les Paul, is as heavy as a Les Paul. I did a few like cosmetic upgrades to it, you know, with the gold and the black to it. I like that kind of a thing. I just want to go through these two and just kind of see if these are comparable. Did they do a good job on doing the pedal version to mimic the big old head? Is it something that you can do without the head and just get the pedal? Let's find out. What I'll do is, I'm not going to tell you guys which one was which in that little demo-ish riff that I did. I'll put it at the end of the video, so you guys can kind of watch the video and just kind of maybe figure out for yourself. I can say both of them sound freaking awesome, right? You know, through the mics, it's really, really close. So yeah, I think they did a really good job on this. Now, obviously, this one's probably going to have a little more options than the pedal version, but we can get around it. So, okay, let me just explain first that this one has a different kind of setup to where you have this channel 1, I guess, and there's channel 2 here. Channel 1 does have the rhythm, clean, and lead versions on there, but I wouldn't really consider them comparable to the amp. There's this whole other set over here that's just straight up just metal. So basically over here it's just kind of like the dad rock kind of stuff, and then over here you got straight up metal, which is typically where I would stay. But we'll go over to the other side and just kind of play with it. Let's go to the pedal. All right. I set this up to the way that I like it for both of these and for that little demo riff. So this is kind of my setup. The boost is on this one, as well as the boost is on this. There's boost on both. I'll show you the difference in between them. So first, let's go ahead and turn it off, the boost. All right, we're gonna go to the amp and we're gonna turn that boost off. Pedal. They sound both awesome, right? Boost on for the amp. Off. See how it kind of thickens it up? And note that I do have the gain halfway and then the boost halfway as well here. It doesn't really act like an overdrive, so it's not cleaning up the low end. I think it actually adds to the low end for this boost here, which is counterintuitive to what metal guitars are used to when it comes to boosts. So somebody coming into this amp and turning the boost on and be like, well, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. That sounds like, you know, just a flubby mess. Yeah, and I get that, I understand. So let's just say if we push it up to 3 o'clock for the amp. Like it's just kind of thick. Okay, so let's go see what the pedal does, all right? So right now without the boost, it's got that like gnarl to it, right? That's that sound that I'm talking about, that grit. It's almost like a push J&P or something. But it may be something that I can only right here in the room. Anyways, the boost, here's with the boost. See, it just gives it a little more character. Now, for this boost, this is the boost here. It's at 9 o'clock. Let's go ahead and put it at 12 o'clock. So same deal. You see how it's kind of thickening it up there? Let's go ahead and put it up to 3 o'clock. But that sounds pretty dang good, right? I think so. Let's go over to the amp. Now this, obviously the amp is probably going to sound bigger, right? I do have the tone down a little darker. Dynamics is all the way up, so I believe that's the depth control on this amp, the dynamic. I can't hear much of a difference whenever I go back and forth, but it might be more of a difference if I made it loud. I have it all the way up, so there's that. Maybe there's some harmonic differences, but I haven't found that yet. Anyways, again, the amp. Awesome sounding amp, right? I don't understand why people hate this amp. Maybe because it's not like the typical super tight kind of amp, but I mean, with Mesas, you put an overdrive in front of that and it sounds awesome, right? And yes, you can go without it, depending on your style of music, but I don't know. I think this is the same kind of animal, you know, to that degree. So, okay, that's the amp. Pedal. Can you even tell that I'm changing this? In the room, there's really not that much difference. Probably in the mics through the DAW, the amp is probably thicker. I think I'm hearing that. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and boost it with the SD1, which somebody with a Laney amp would typically not do. And I don't know why someone wouldn't, because adding that boost definitely thickens the amp. That's like for more like rock and roll kind of stuff, but I don't know. I think the idea is you have that boost to thicken up your solo tones. I think that's what that's for. So let's go ahead with the boost on both of them. I'm gonna turn on the SD1. It's on now. We are on the amp. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so now that's too much gain. Let's go ahead and bring this back. Maybe half. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's the amp. Let's go over to the pedal. The boost is on right now, or the SD1. Okay, so I do still have this set up, the pedal, the way I liked it to my tastes. Let's go ahead and bring everything back to noon, right? Turn that boost off. We're gonna turn this boost off, bring this back to noon, and just see if they compare that way, right? All right, that's there. All right, tone's there. Okay, cool. So now, I'm gonna turn this off. So here's the pedal. All right, there's the amp. Okay. So one thing I'm noticing, I had the gain up at 3 o'clock. Let's go ahead and add this to that. And here it is again. Okay, pedal. Right now, I'm digging the pedal a little bit more. At noon, now the one thing that I have not messed with is this little notch right there. It's got a bright, a middle, and a dark setting to it. So I think that takes the idea of the tone knob here. So let's just mess with that. Let's go to dark. So that adds some extra low in there. Now I'm curious, let's do the SD1. That's okay. Yeah, that's a lot thicker now. And the amp. So let me see if I can get the same kind of tone. Just turning the tone knob here. Okay, the amp, let's bring it back down even further. Too far. About right there. Pedal seems to have a little more mids to it. Add some more mids to the EQ here. I don't know if it's the nature of the power amp that is doing this, but I don't expect them to, make an exact copy of this preamp on this little pedal either, though. So all right, let's go ahead and put this back up to middle. Hear it again. Yeah, just right there. I mean, I think that's a good starting point for all amps is you put everything at noon, and if it sounds great just like it is, I have a really good, Marshall-esque kind of tone, then you're doing pretty damn good. Now, I will say that the Laney amp has one feature that this does not. You can actually pull all the EQ knobs out to widen that EQ range. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm on the amp. So let's pull the mids all the way up, right? So that's it all the way up. I'm gonna pull it out. And this is with it pulled out. Pushed in. Pushed out, pulled out, pushed in. It's pretty subtle, but I think it either shifts the frequency that you're adding more gain to. That's my thoughts on that. Or I would think it actually widens the EQ range of that. So it just makes that bandwidth just a lot thicker when you pull it out. So that's across the board for this thing. And I guess it could be useful in certain instances, but yeah, there we go. The next thing I want to go through is the gain or channel 1's clean, rhythm, and lead to see if it sounds anything like the actual amp in this kind of setting. So let's go ahead and go over. All right, so now we're over here. All right, so let's see what the lead sounds like between the pedal and the amp. All right. This is the pedal. All right, and the lead channel on the amp. It just sounds totally different to me. So that was the lead. Let's go over to the rhythm channel, which I need to put all that back at noon. And then the rhythm channel here. So the amp. Let's get a little more volume. Okay, so now we're going to the pedal, rhythm channel. Really mid-forward, I don't know what the thought process between that and that was for this side of the channel to be just almost like a different kind of amp. Sounds more like a solid state to me, to tell you the truth. So let's go to the clean. let's go ahead and get that over with too. We're gonna do the clean. All right, so right now we're on the pedal. I got a good bit of gain there, so I'm gonna turn that down. Turn the volume up. All right, go to the neck pickup. Bring up the treble. All right, so now let's go to the amp. Okay. Oh, we need to turn this up a good bit. All right. Okay, let's just go back and forth. So here's the pedal. Amp. Pedal. And amp. I do hear a little bit of breakup on the amp because, you know, it's a preamp tube, right? So let's just add a little bit of gain to this. I'm gonna have to bring the volume down a tad. See if I can mimic that. Amp. The amp just sounds a little bit clearer. I like the clean on the amp, but for this to be just a little pedal, I mean, it's doing pretty freaking good, you know? Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I'll go through some of the metal riffs again, boosting it with the SD1. Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna go back to channel 2 on that. I'm gonna go to lead here. I'm gonna leave it the same there. I'm gonna go back to actually dialing it in the way that I like it. There we go. I like that. Okay, going back to the pedal and bring that back up. I actually don't like, let's go ahead and go to dark. And I'll go ahead and show you bright too. So this is bright. It kind of sounds like more like the amp at noon, to tell you the truth. So at this point right here, I'd like it on dark. Let's go ahead and turn on the boost to thicken up everything. Bring that back down. Oh yeah, there we go. It just thickens it up. And if you got the SD1 on, let's go ahead and change that a little bit. So I had the drive up around like 11 o'clock or so, and then the level about at noon. I changed that to level at 3 o'clock and drive to about 7 o'clock or so. So let's see what that sounds like now. And let's bring the boost up. Halfway. That sounds awesome. I would even bring in a little more bass. There it is, that's it. Probably cut the mids just a tad. That's what I would go with, for sure. So let's go back over to the amp. Let's go ahead and turn on the boost. I'm not touching it, and this is what it sounds like. All right, that's it. That's what I wanted to show you guys. I wanted to kind of do a comparison between these two. What do you guys think? Does this pedal negate the need for this amp? You know, one thing that's cool about this thing, it also has a direct output, as well as the IRT 120H. That has a direct output too. This one has an emulation out. It does have a headphone, has a effects loop. This has an effects loop too. It does not have a headphone out, but to get that Laney tone, I think they did a killer job with putting it in the pedal at 60 watts. You can't beat it, man. Like, I'm pretty impressed. Now, this does have that little bit of bite, tube bite, that a solid state can't produce. But once you start adding the overdrives into that, it just kind of washes away. So that's my thoughts. I love them both. And if you guys got any questions about it, let me know in the comments. Also, at the very beginning of this video, if you haven't figured it out yet, the first one that we did was the pedal. So when I'm switched over to 1, it was the pedal. When I'm switched over to 2, it's the amp. Did you get it? Let me know. TMD out.